Former edgy YouTube content creators turned social justice warriors. And every time I see a video about freaking iDubbbz or H3H3, Ethan or Ian, I get a little bit horny. This is the festival switching attack mode and shit. H3H3 Productions, Ethan and all that stuff, iDubbbz and all that. Before, you know, when YouTube was in its Wild West era, pre-apocalypse, and pretty much everybody was edgy and doing exactly what they felt like doing. As long as you could get the viewership and you could capture the audience or whatever, you're good, and YouTube will monetize you, and everything was all gravy. And then YouTube hit the adpocalypse era, while all the advertisers threatened to freaking pull out their ads because of the stupid PewDiePie, whatever the hell, stupid crap. And YouTube being like any other business or any other company, are complete freaking bitches and freaking caved in. And then now, why you think the words PDF file and the R word exists? Because they don't want nobody, you know, you say that shit, demonetize. And that's basically it. And conveniently around the apocalypse era, all of a sudden, post-apocalypse, conveniently, freaking iDubbbz and H3H3 guy, Ethan and Gila, just ended up changing their stance on everything. They went from being, you know, level-headed people that were more in the middle of like the left and the right, and like we're like trying to find the middle ground, and we're more like, hey, freedom of speech, you know, and all that stuff and everything, and everything was a democracy, and like everything, you know, like they were more level-headed. Even though it seemed like they seemed to think that they're like on the right and now they're leaning to the left. That wasn't the case. They were more in the middle. Like, I know freaking iDubbbz is more edgy with the nigger faggot and all the stuff he used to say. But at the end of the day, there was a method to his madness. There was a point. It wasn't just doing it for the sake of doing it. It was, you know, basically him saying, you know, saying that stuff like to promote freedom of speech and to say, hey, it's either all okay or nothing's okay. Trying to combat the social justice warriors, pretty much saying like, hey, like, you know, don't treat black people like they're freaking margin, like freaking like little kids. Treat them like you would anyone else. Like, their method to their madness made sense, and they were very reasonable and logical. And it's like they weren't just, you know, and like I don't even think they were ever right leaning towards during that era. They were more in the middle. Even if they were like lefties back then, I think they were, but they weren't like the hardcore lefties they are now. Where now they're just completely leaning towards the social justice, lefty, freaking liberal think of all that stuff because it's more profitable to do that. Whereas back then, being edgy was more profitable. So it seems like they're just following where the money goes. Specifically, H3H3 Productions. There used to be some broke Jews living in an apartment making cool videos. Then they started doing a podcast thing where they're just boring as shit without, you know, like they're boring without the editing and the videos they're commentating on and making fun of it. You know, edits and all that stuff. The podcast is just boring as hell. And then I guess they just wanted to keep the money train rolling, and they didn't want to like lose, you know, they want to have sponsors, and they don't want to make, you know, videos no more. They just want to do the boring podcast and get paid for it. And they decided to lean more to the left and the social justice stuff in order for them to gain, I guess, you know, because it's the more profitable route to go. So H3H3 Productions, Ethan and Gila, they're just going where the money's. They're just following the money trail, basically. They used to be reasonable, or at least Ethan used to be reasonable and, you know, and logical and all that stuff. And now they're left leaning, and then now they're fighting against their own audience, because the audience, you know, are now they're building this fan base of easily offended fucks. So when they want to, every now and again, rear his ugly head, the Edgelord freaking ugly head, they can't freaking do it. Because then he's fighting against his own audience. And as far as iDubbbz goes, his situation isn't really following the money. His situation is, he's a good example of if you get with the wrong woman, marry the wrong woman, they will destroy you. They'll destroy everything you've ever built. They'll bring you down. They'll do everything. They'll destroy your whole empire from the inside out. They destroy everything. And in the iDubbbz case, shit, I remember back then, even I started making videos around that time. Shit, I was afraid of ever becoming popular enough to be on his radar to be in a content cop. I think everybody was. But I think the thing is that he was playing a gimmick, like a wrestler. He was playing a persona. He was playing a character. That iDubbbz character was exactly that, a character. And he came off as this very bravado, freaking secure in himself, freaking untouchable, freaking smart. You know, if he makes a video about you, you pretty much just bend over and let him put it in your ass because you're not beating him, kind of guy. But underneath all of that was an insecure little bitch, unfortunately. He played the character real good, like some people do, but underneath it all, he was an insecure person that probably either never touched a woman before, or never been with a woman before, or maybe at most he was with 2 or 3 of them at one point in his life. Very insecure and all this stuff. And the only reason we know that is because of what happening with his freaking wife. The fact that he took her last name, and the fact that, you know, he basically changed. He didn't just change the way he changed everything about himself. He changed the way he changed the way he think. He changed his politics. He even had if he was, he wasn't even political back then, but now he just changed everything about himself. The way he thinks, the way he acts, the way he talks. The way he talks to people, he changed everything about himself. He didn't leave one aspect of his former self intact. He completely changed from everything. There's not one aspect, like it's 2 completely different people. They look the same. But like if iDubbbz was a rapper, I'd be like, yo, I think he got cloned, like Eminem style. You know how you kind of think that when you look at Eminem now, you're from what he used to be, you're like, yo, it's a clone. There's no way that's the same person. Well, freaking watching iDubbbz and his career and the way he's been, now I'm pretty much convinced that Eminem is not a clone no more. I used to be in that conspiracy theory, but he's not a clone. People really can do a 180 and change everything about themselves completely. It's possible. I didn't think there's no such thing as changing that much. There's at least a little bit aspect of your former self going to be there. If not, it's a fucking clone, because there's just no way. But now seeing the iDubbbz situation, I'm like, nope, it is possible for someone to completely change everything about themselves. From being confident to being insecure, for talking with energy to talk with no energy, to all of, you know, his whole stance on the freaking, you know, the female workers and this, that, and the third, and just everything. And he's just a completely different person. I mean, he changed every single thing about himself just to stay with this woman. And that goes to show you just how strong insecurity is. Insecurity is stronger than anything, not anything, but it's one of the strongest things that can really change things is insecurity. Because not just women do it. I know we probably make fun of women all the time for doing it, for sticking with men that beat them and all this stuff, but clearly there's men out there that are just like that too. They will not leave the woman no matter how much he's destroying himself. Destroying your finances, destroying your career, changing everything about yourself, leaving your hometown, not talking to your friends no more. Probably not even talking to his family no more, for all we know. Who knows what kind of mother issues he had growing up to be in this deep a situation. But we all can say it maybe at one point we're with a woman where we're like, yo, if I stick with this woman to put a kid in it, she's going to cause me nothing but headaches. And maybe you're able to pull yourself out quick enough before you can get to that point. But holy shit, the fact that he just refuses to just dump this bitch and go on his redemption arc. If he were to do a redemption arc tomorrow, freaking divorce her, get his last name back, and freaking make his first content cop in years about himself and just destroy himself how it used to be. And he doesn't have to revert back to what he used to be 100%, but at least 80% of what he used to be. The logical side, the smart side, the charismatic side, the side that had fucking energy. I mean, just something about your old self. He's completely changed his old self completely. You'd think he was a fucking rapist or a murderer the way he had to hunt 180 changes. So usually people change that differently because they used to be a bad person. He's convinced he was a bad person. He wasn't. He was very logical. The people he attacked, it was always for a reason. There's always something about those people that needed to be attacked about him. Even Tina said that, you know, she don't think she's owed an apology and all that stuff. I mean, if that doesn't confirm that he's just completely changing for the worse, I don't know what is. And just, you know, H3H3 is a money situation where they just wanted to follow where the money goes and completely change everything about themselves. And now they crossed over. You know, cross over to the rich side. They used to be poor, broke like the rest of us. But then ever since they started making enough money, now what, they have $20 million now, they crossed over to the other side. They're now the 1%. So now they think like the 1%. And part of thinking like the 1% is what's going to keep this money train rolling. Hey, let's start a clothing company and freaking do everything that we fucking accused every other freaking clothing company of doing. From having little Chinese kids, freaking Low Chinese kids freaking work themselves to death to make our clothes because hey, I can save a few bucks to fucking steal, having your designers steal other people's freaking clothing designs on the internet and stuff. And they're on freaking video, freaking making saying all this stuff against it, and they're doing the same exact shit. Even Muse Productions. If you don't know who Muse Productions is, he's Mark Muse. He's the guy that used to make. He's pretty much the Anthony Fantano, the needle drop of his day. And he used to freaking make. He was like during the AVG, the Angry Video Game Nerd and freaking Nostalgia Critic era. Even he's the same way. He used to have a temper. He used to make music videos, you know, and so making fun of all this stuff. And even he changed. If you watch his recent stuff, he's on some podcast, I think. He had a complete sex change. Not only did he do the typical ranting of what I used to do was bad and I was evil and this, that, and the third, but he completely freaking changed who he was completely. He freaking changed sex. He transitioned. That's how deep he got into the whole freaking that's how deep he got into the freaking social justice shit. I mean, he went further than anybody I've ever seen. He completely transitioned, not just from politics. He transitioned his body too. So it's just funny seeing all these former edgy content creators just change, either because you're with the wrong person who's completely destroying everything you have, or you're just following the money trail because you know you're rich now and now you think like a rich person. Or you just I don't know, Mark Muse situation, I don't know why. Anyway, this is Attack Mostly back to defense mode, and I'm out. Peace.